Pay close attention. What you're about to see is Bible prophecy being fulfilled.
Welcome to YPN News, bringing you news as it relates to Bible prophecy. Today we bring you face-to-face with the current fulfillment of Bible prophecy unfolding at breakneck speeds, evidence to us that we are definitely in the last days of man's reign. Droughts, famines, wars, rumors of wars, confusion, and the love of many grown cold are just a few of the things that we'll be covering in this broadcast.
We start our broadcast off with a reminder about the conditions of waterways and agriculture as a result of the current drought that is currently laying hold onto over 60% of the United States. Now, one of the waterways in particular that we covered was once called the mighty Mississippi.
Yes. The Army Corps of Engineers are working desperately to keep pace with the dwindling water supplies. With no signs of substantial rain in sight, farmers and shipping companies who rely on high water levels in the Mississippi, which of course enable them to carry more cargo, are starting to really feel the pain with their barges running aground and more frequent trips, which result in higher fuel costs.
The consumers are the ones who will eventually pay the higher price, with 20% of the nation's coal and 60% of the nation's wheat passing through the Mississippi. Now, as a closing note, the experts with the Army Corps of Engineers say that typically these droughts are not just one-year events, and we know, Catan, we're just now in the first year, so there's more to come.
Now, the firmament may be holding back its rain, but missiles are falling from the skies in its place. A recent video shows the aftermath from a Syrian airstrike, which shows the graphic evidence of a life-and-death battle that high-level diplomats say is bad and getting worse.
The Assad government has plenty of air power and is said to be on the defensive against rebel forces whose growing numbers include radical Islamists that, according to Israel's ambassador to the U.S., Michael Oren. Now, Ambassador Oren said the jihadi presence is big and getting bigger, and the longer the conflict goes on, the bigger it'll get.
The jihadis, of course, they're an offshoot of Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and they once fought a fierce battle against American troops, but now they're turning their efforts toward the Assad government. As the rebels close in on Damascus, where military bases store chemical weapons, analysts say the Assad regime is taking last-ditch efforts to use those chemical weapons to save itself, which Obama administration says could result in military intervention.
Now, some say worst-case scenarios could soon become a reality. As a closing note, the U.S. is planning to help organize the opposition's military command, and later this week is expected to recognize its political leadership. Of course, what impact that'll have on Syria's civil war remains yet to be seen.
For our next article, we turn our attention locally to focus on a disturbing increase in police-related shootings in the Abilene area. YPN's Larry McGee has a report. Larry, what do you have for us?
It's just as you were saying, guys. And just within the last week in the small city of Abilene, Texas, 2 interactions between police and local residents resulted in the shooting and deaths of 2 citizens. The first began when police officials received a call that Tony Riddle, a 40-year-old Abilene resident, was attempting to commit suicide. Police officials report arriving at the scene to find Riddle emotionally upset and armed with several weapons. A short time prior, Riddle had posted a goodbye message on his social networking page. It read, "Guys, this is it. It's way too much for me to take. I'm sorry, but this has to be done. Please forgive me." Following that, police officials were called to the corner of Bronny Road and Highway 277. Police say Riddle was armed with several weapons and threatened them with a gun multiple times. During negotiation efforts to disarm Riddle, State Trooper Sparky Dean says Riddle made what officers believe was a threatening move, and that's when a Taylor County deputy shot and killed him. Just this same week, Another resident and business owner, Marcus Cass, was shot and killed by Abilene police as well. The officers were attempting to execute a search warrant on Abilene Gold Exchange when they say Mr. Cass threatened them with the gun. Police allege that Cass failed to comply with several commands to cease, at which point one officer responded by shooting and killing the citizen. At present, no arrests have been made. A joint investigation is being conducted with Texas Rangers, and the officers involved are on administrative leave concerning the shooting death of the late resident who had just a short time earlier publicly opposed the petition proposed by the Abilene Police Department concerning precious metals. YPN News, I'm Larry McGee. Good time, Jeff. Back to you.
Definitely on the increase.
2 people were killed and a third one seriously injured at a Portland, Oregon area shopping mall. Witnesses say a man wearing black clothing and a white Halloween mask opened fire with a rifle. A local student who witnessed the shooting described what she saw. She said there was a lot of people diving. I'm hoping they weren't getting shot, but there was a lot of people falling and hiding behind things. A lot of people running, a lot of screaming, and babies crying.
The terror ended, as many of these acts of violence do, when the gunman took his own life. Other witnesses reported that there would have likely been more killed if the gunman's weapon had not jammed.
Now, in what is being called one of the worst school shootings in U.S. history, and by far the worst at an elementary school, 26 people, including 20 children and 6 adults, were shot and killed at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut.
At 9:30 Friday morning, police say a gunman identified as 20-year-old Adam Lanza opened fire in a kindergarten classroom where his mother once taught. Some of her students were among the 20 children killed. In all, 26 people were killed at the school, including the school principal and the school psychologist. The police say the gunman took his own life, and later his mother was found dead in her home a few miles away. Now, the motive for the shooting is still not known.
The school day had just started when the first calls came into police indicating that there was someone shooting in the building. Now, teachers locked the classroom and crowded their students into corners away from doors and windows, while some children hid in closets. Police say the shooting rampage was restricted to 2 rooms. As SWAT teams surrounded the school, state troopers moved students to safety. Some children were told to close their eyes to protect them from seeing the carnage.
Parents rushed to the school after getting robocalls that there had been a shooting. The local firehouse became a meeting place where terrorized parents came to find out whether their children were among the living or the dead. Some parents were pulled aside to a separate room. Now, Maureen Cairns is a nurse, and she said that all I can say is that one of the cops said it was one of the worst things he had ever seen in his entire career. And it was when all these parents were there waiting for their children to come out. The thought was that there were about 20 parents there who had just been told that their children were dead. It was awful, she said. It was the worst thing she'd seen.
Now, President Obama had this to say about the school shooting. He said, "I know there's not a parent in America who does not feel the same overwhelming grief that I do. The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old. They had their entire lives ahead of them. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own," he said. Among the fallen were also teachers, men and women who devoted their lives to helping our children fulfill their dreams. So he ended by saying, "Our hearts are broken today."
President Obama went on to say, "We have been through this too many times. We're going to have to come together and take meaningful action to prevent more tragedies like this, regardless of politics."
Dr. John LaPook is a medical correspondent for the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley. When he was asked to offer some advice to parents on how they would start the conversation with their child who has just gone through one of these terrible events, this is what he had to say. "The first thing is to acknowledge that it happened. Yes, a terrible thing happened, but for you, the world is still a safe place. Your school is still a safe place," he said.
Dr. LaPook continued, "And parents have to understand, depending upon the developmental stage of their kid, they may have a different response. So a young child may be anxious. A teenage boy may have bravado. If I had a gun, I would have just blown them away. But throughout it all, they would have to keep the lines of communication open, and they have to, most of all, stay calm.
When he was asked, what should parents be doing with their child this weekend, he responded, it's so important to maintain a sense of routine and to show the children that the world has not fallen apart. So whatever they were going to do, they should still do. If they were going to go to a movie, that's okay, he said. If they were going to do exercise, that's fine. The one thing they should probably not do is that they should not watch TV. They do not need to see those images over and over again, especially if their parents aren't around to help interpret them. Now, President Obama made the statement that we have been through this too many times. For years now, Yusra Hawkins has been pleading with the leaders of this world that the only way we will stop these acts of violence is through education. Education in the moral values found in the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program. So, if you are a parent, teacher, or someone concerned with the direction the world is heading, go to www.peacefulsolution.org and learn the program that can stop this violence from taking place all over the world. Then talk to your leaders in your community and tell them that they need the peaceful solution.
As always, you can also request your free copy of the monthly newsletter and the Prophetic Word magazine to learn more about fulfilled prophecies and those that will soon be fulfilled. You can write us at the House of Yahweh, P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604, or call us at 1-800-613-9494. And all calls outside the United States, please call the number on your screen. Don't forget you can visit us, our website, at www.yahweh.com or www.yisrohawkins.com.
Don't go anywhere. Up next is Yusra Hawkins, the only one that has a true solution to the world's problems. From all of us here at YPN News, I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
And I'm Katana Alexander.
Thanks for joining us.